I am Jarvis, your storyteller. Welcome to the Science Fiction Exploration. If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel.
The endless void of the Kuiper Belt stretched before Captain Nikolai Petrov as he stood at the observation deck of the Aurora, his weathered hands clasped behind his back. 20 years of deep space mining had earned him every silver hair on his head, but nothing in his experience had prepared him for what they were about to discover. "Captain, we've got an anomaly in Sector 7, called out Yuki Tanaka, the ship's sensor specialist." Her fingers danced across the holographic display, bringing up a three-dimensional map of their surroundings. "It's not showing up on any of our regular scans, but there's definitely something interfering with our gravimetric readings." Nikolai stroked his salt and pepper beard, studying the readout. The Aurora wasn't the newest ship in the fleet, her hull bore the scars of countless micrometeor impacts, and her engines burned a little less efficiently each year. But she was home to the best crew he'd ever commanded, and their instincts had never led him astray. "Dr. Marcus, what's your analysis?" he called out to their resident physicist, a tall man with dark skin and keen eyes who was already running complex calculations through his augmented reality interface. "It's like nothing I've seen before, Captain," Dr. James Marcus replied, his usual confidence replaced by wonder. "The energy signature suggests technology far beyond our current capabilities. If I didn't know better, I'd say we're looking at a quantum manipulation field." First Officer Elena Rodriguez stepped forward, her cybernetic eye whirring as it adjusted to focus on the anomaly. "Sir, corporate protocol states we should report this immediately to headquarters. And let them claim another discovery while we get a pat on the back and standard hazard pay?" Nikolai shook his head. "No, Elena. Something tells me this is too important for corporate bureaucracy." The captain made his decision. "Yuki, maintain sensor lock. Elena, prep the exploration shuttle. Dr. Marcus, you're with me. We're going to take a closer look." As they approached in the shuttle, the anomaly began to take shape. What they had initially thought was a simple gravitational disturbance revealed itself to be a massive vessel, its hull composed of a material that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, yet maintained perfect structural integrity. "Impossible, Dr." Marcus whispered, his instrument struggling to analyze the ship's composition. "This metal, it's responding to our presence. It's alive, in a sense." The vessel was easily 3 times the size of the Aurora, its design unlike anything in human records. Geometric patterns pulsed along its surface with a soft, blue-white light, creating complex sequences that hinted at mathematical precision beyond current human understanding. As they drew closer, the ancient ship responded. Panels that had appeared seamless moments before shifted and realigned, creating what was unmistakably a docking port perfectly sized for their shuttle. "It's inviting us in," Elena observed, her tactical training evident in her cautious tone. "Or it's a trap," Yuki added over the comm. Nikolai studied the port for a long moment before making his decision. "If whoever built this wanted us dead, I doubt we'd still be having this conversation. Take us in, Elena." The docking procedure was unnervingly smooth, as if the ancient vessel was actively assisting their approach. As the airlock cycled, their suit sensors reported a breathable atmosphere inside, another impossibility after what must have been centuries of dormancy. They entered a corridor that seemed to anticipate their arrival, lighting up with the same soft blue glow they'd observed outside. The architecture was both alien and familiar, clearly designed for humanoid use, but with an aesthetic that spoke of technological advancement far beyond their own. "Captain," Dr. Marcus called out, his voice tight with excitement. "These markings, they're not just decorative. They're mathematical constants, universal laws expressed in a language that transcends time." Before Nikolai could respond, a figure materialized before them, a hologram, but one of unprecedented clarity. It appeared as a tall, androgynous human wearing what could only be described as a uniform, though its design was unlike any military or corporate attire they'd ever seen. "Welcome, inheritors," the hologram spoke, its voice resonating with an authority that seemed to echo through time itself. "I am Atlas, guardian of the seventh Sentinel. Your genetic profiles have been scanned and verified. After 50,000 years of waiting, the protocol can finally begin." The revelation hit Nikolai like a physical force. 50,000 years? The implications were staggering. Human civilization as they knew it barely stretched back 10,000 years. What protocol? Elena demanded, her hand instinctively moving to her sidearm. Atlas's expression remained serene. "The protocol of preservation. Your ancestors created me to safeguard humanity's greatest achievements and most terrible burdens until the time was right. That time has come." The hologram's form shifted, and suddenly they were surrounded by images of Earth, but not the Earth they knew. This was Earth as it had never been recorded in any history book, with sprawling cities that defied physics and vehicles that soared through skies thick with aerial traffic. "Your civilization," Atlas continued, "is not humanity's first attempt at greatness. It is the second. And unless you accept the inheritance we have preserved, it may well be the last." A warning klaxon suddenly blared through their comms. Yuki's voice crackled with urgency. "Captain, we've got multiple ships dropping out of FTL. Corporate signatures, looks like someone noticed our discovery." Nikolai exchanged glances with his crew. Whatever they'd stumbled upon, it was clear that humanity's understanding of its own history was about to change dramatically. The question was, would they be allowed to share that knowledge with the rest of humanity? Atlas's form flickered as it turned its attention to the approaching ships. "The choice is yours, Captain Petrov. Accept activation of the Sentinel and your role as its commander, or watch as those who seek to control rather than protect claim this legacy for themselves. But know this, the threat that forced your ancestors to hide this vessel approaches once again. The Devourers have awakened, and humanity must be ready." The corporate ships loomed closer as Captain Petrov stood in the ancient vessel's command center, his mind racing with the weight of the decision before him. The holographic displays showed 5 Galactic Resource Corporation vessels, their weapon systems already charging. "Your answer, Captain?" Atlas prompted, its form now projected across multiple stations throughout the command center. "The initialization process requires conscious acceptance. The Sentinel cannot defend itself without an authorized commander." Elena's cybernetic eye flashed as she processed tactical data. "Those are Thanatos-class destroyers, Captain. GRC isn't taking any chances, they've sent their best hunter-killers. Time to decision, 40 seconds before they're in weapons range," Yuki reported through the comm, her voice steady despite the tension. Dr. Marcus stepped forward, his dark eyes intense. "Captain, think about what we've seen here. This technology, this history, it belongs to all of humanity, not corporate shareholders." Nikolai took a deep breath. "Atlas, what exactly happens if I accept?" "Neural integration will commence. You will gain access to the Sentinel systems and the knowledge of your ancestors. The process cannot be reversed." A warning shot from the lead corporate vessel streaked past the Sentinel's hull, illuminating the command center with harsh red light. "I accept," Nikolai declared. The command chair behind him transformed, flowing like liquid metal to accommodate his form. As he sat, interfaces emerged from its surface, connecting with his neural implants. Information flooded his consciousness, star charts, weapon systems, historical records, and fragments of memories that weren't his own. "Neural integration commencing," Atlas announced. "Calibrating to Commander's brainwave patterns." Through the pain of integration, Nikolai saw Earth as it once was, a world of impossible achievements and terrible hubris. He witnessed the arrival of the Devourers, crystalline entities that consumed entire continents, transforming matter into extensions of their vast collective consciousness. He felt the desperation of humanity's last stand and understood why they had chosen to hide their legacy rather than face extinction. "Integration complete," Atlas reported. All systems online. Nikolai opened his eyes, his consciousness now extended through the Sentinel's vast network of sensors and systems. The corporate ships appeared as bright points in his expanded awareness, their weapons primitive compared to the Sentinel's defensive capabilities. "Captain?" Elena's voice seemed distant, concerned. "I'm here," he replied, his voice overlaid with harmonics that resonated through the ship's structure. "And I understand now. Yuki, get the Aurora to a safe distance. Things are about to get interesting." The corporate flagship opened a channel. "Unidentified vessel, this is Commander Walsh of the GRC Security Force. You have interfered with corporate property. Stand down and prepare to be boarded." Nikolai smiled. Through his neural link, he could sense the Sentinel's weapons charging, not with crude plasma or missiles, but with technologies that manipulated the fabric of spacetime itself. "Commander Walsh," he responded, "I suggest you reconsider. This vessel predates your corporation by 50 millennia. Your claims have no standing here. You have 10 seconds to comply before we open fire," Walsh threatened. Dr. Marcus studied the tactical display with growing excitement. "Captain, the Sentinel's defensive systems are unlike anything I've theorized possible. They're generating quantum fields that could." The corporate ships opened fire, their energy weapons converging on the Sentinel's position. But the attacks never reached their target. The space around the ancient vessel rippled, and the energy beams curved away harmlessly, trapped in localized gravity wells that the Sentinel had created. "Final warning," Nikolai broadcasted. "Withdraw your ships." Instead, the corporate vessels launched boarding pods, sleek, autonomous units designed to breach enemy hulls. The Sentinel responded without Nikolai having to consciously give the command. Waves of blue energy pulsed from its hull, catching the pods in stasis fields that froze them in space. "Atlas," Nikolai commanded, "show them what we can do. Non-lethal demonstration only." The Sentinel's primary weapons activated. Beams of coherent light, more focused than any laser, sliced through the corporate ship's engines with surgical precision, leaving them dead in space but their crews unharmed. "By the stars," Elena whispered, watching the display. "We could have conquered the entire corporate fleet with this technology. Why did our ancestors hide it?" "Because power corrupts," Nikolai answered, the knowledge flowing from his neural link. They understood that humanity needed to evolve culturally and ethically before it could be trusted with such advancement again. He turned to his crew. "And now we face the same choice they did." "Commander," Atlas interrupted, "long-range sensors are detecting quantum disturbances at the edge of the solar system. The pattern matches historical records of Devourer scout ships." Dr. Marcus's fingers flew across his portable console. "The readings are like nothing in our current scientific understanding. These entities, they don't just consume matter, they rewrite the fundamental laws of physics in their vicinity." "How long do we have?" Elena asked. "At current velocity, the scout ships will reach Earth in 30 days, Atlas reported. The main Devourer fleet follows approximately 60 days behind them." Nikolai stood from the command chair, his neural connection maintaining but no longer overwhelming his senses. "Then we have 30 days to convince Earth's governments and corporations of the threat, and to find the other 6 Sentinels." "And if they don't believe us?" Yuki asked through the comm. "They'll believe us," Nikolai replied, watching the disabled corporate ships drift in space. "Because we're going to show them something they can't ignore." He turned to Atlas. "Begin transmitting the historical records to every major news network and scientific institution in the solar system. It's time humanity learned its true history." "Transmission begun," Atlas confirmed. "But be warned, the preservation protocol was designed to activate all Sentinels in sequence. By awakening this vessel, you have started a process that cannot be stopped. The other Guardians will seek out their chosen commanders." "Good," Nikolai said. "Because if humanity is going to survive what's coming, we're going to need every advantage we can get. He turned to his crew. Dr. Marcus, start analyzing everything we have on Devourer technology. Elena, plot a course for Earth. Yuki, bring the Aurora in close, we're going to need her. As his crew rushed to their tasks, Nikolai studied the tactical display showing the approaching Devourer scouts. Humanity had hidden from these beings once before, burying their civilization to survive. This time, they would stand and fight, not just for their survival, but for their right to exist as they chose. The Sentinel's engines hummed to life, its ancient systems responding to his thoughts with perfect precision. The vessel that had waited 50,000 years to fulfill its purpose was awake, and its duty was clear. Humanity would face its greatest challenge, armed with the legacy of its forgotten past and the determination to forge a future of its own choosing. Earth's orbital defense platforms locked onto the Sentinel the moment it emerged from faster-than-light travel. Hundreds of weapon systems, representing every major power on the planet, tracked their approach. The ancient vessel dwarfed everything in orbit, its crystalline hull reflecting sunlight in ways that defied conventional physics. Quite the welcome party, Elena observed from her station, monitoring the military channels flooding their communications array. Every nation with space capabilities has ships moving to intercept. Dr. Marcus hadn't left his research console since they'd begun their journey. The data we've uncovered is overwhelming. Our ancestors achieved things we'd considered impossible: stable microsingularities, consciousness transfer, matter reorganization at the quantum level. And they gave it all up to survive, Nikolai added, feeling the weight of history through his neural link with the Sentinel. Atlas, begin broadcasting on all frequencies. Let's not give them a reason to get trigger-happy. The AI's holographic form materialized beside him. Warning, Commander. Earth's defensive grid includes automated response protocols. They will fire if we cross their outer perimeter. Then we stop here. Nikolai stood from the command chair, his connection to the ship humming in the back of his mind. Broadcast our message. Screens throughout the command center showed their transmission being picked up worldwide. News networks, military channels, and civilian communications all carried the same images, proof of humanity's forgotten past and the approaching threat. This is Captain Nikolai Petrov of the mining vessel Aurora, currently aboard an ancient human vessel designated as the Seventh Sentinel, his voice echoed across the solar system. What we're about to show you will challenge everything you believe about human history. The historical records began streaming, cities that touched the clouds, vessels that bent space itself, and finally, the horrifying arrival of the Devourers. The crystalline entities that had forced humanity to hide its true nature were shown in all their terrible beauty, consuming entire continents in their relentless expansion. Within 30 days, scout ships from these beings will reach our solar system, Nikolai continued. The main fleet follows 2 months behind them. They've returned, just as our ancestors feared they would, and we are not ready. A new voice cut through their broadcast, calm, authoritative, and decidedly skeptical. This is Admiral Regina Hammond of the United Earth Defense Force. Your transmission contains impossible claims and technology that violates multiple international treaties. Stand down and prepare for boarding. Before Nikolai could respond, Atlas's form flickered with urgency. Commander, detecting multiple quantum signatures across the solar system. The other Sentinels are awakening. Screens showed energy spikes from Venus's clouds, Mars's polar ice caps, and various points in the asteroid belt. 6 more vessels, each unique but clearly of the same origin as their own, emerged from their hiding places. By all that's sacred, Elena whispered. They were here all along. Dr. Marcus's console erupted with data. Captain, each Sentinel is broadcasting similar neural signatures. They're seeking their commanders, genetic matches to their original crews. The military channels exploded with chatter as the other vessels appeared. Earth's combined fleets found themselves suddenly outmatched by technology they couldn't comprehend. Admiral Hammond's voice returned, more cautious now. Captain Petrov, assume you're telling the truth. Why reveal all this now? Why not remain hidden? Because humanity's first response to the Devourers was wrong, Nikolai replied. We survived by hiding, by burying our achievements so deep that even we forgot them. But the Devourers didn't stop. They've spent 50,000 years consuming other civilizations while we huddled in ignorance. Through his neural link, Nikolai accessed the Sentinel's deepest archives, projecting images of other worlds and species the Devourers had encountered. Some had fought with incredible technologies, others had tried to negotiate or hide. All had fallen. We have a chance that no other species has had, he continued. We have the knowledge and technology of a civilization that faced them before. We have 7 Sentinels, each containing weapons and defenses beyond anything humanity currently possesses. But most importantly, we have something our ancestors didn't: time to prepare. A new signal cut through their communications, a woman's voice, strong and clear. This is Dr. Isabella Patel of the Lunar Research Institute. Captain Petrov's claims, they match evidence I've been studying for decades. Anomalous artifacts, unexplainable readings from deep radar scans, patterns in our genetic code that suggest deliberate engineering. We've been finding pieces of this puzzle for years, but nobody wanted to see the whole picture. More voices joined the conversation: scientists who had discovered inconsistencies in human history, military leaders who had encountered unexplainable phenomena, even religious scholars who saw truth in ancient texts about gods who walked among humans. The other Sentinels are reporting successful neural connections, Atlas announced. Their commanders have been found. Screens showed the other vessels powering up, their systems synchronized with their newly awakened commanders. Each represented a different aspect of their ancestors' achievement: weapons, healing, creation, exploration, preservation, and understanding. Admiral Hammond's image appeared on their main display, her expression stern but thoughtful. Your evidence is compelling, Captain, but you're asking us to unite the entire planet based on a threat we can't yet see. Then let us show you, Nikolai offered. The Sentinel can detect the Devourer's quantum signature. Send your best scientists aboard, let them verify everything we've told you. But do it quickly, because in 29 days, the first scout ships will arrive. And if we're still arguing among ourselves when they do, history will repeat itself. Only this time, humanity won't get another chance to hide. A tense silence filled the communications channels as Earth's leaders debated. Finally, Hammond spoke again. A delegation will dock with your vessel in 1 hour. I hope for all our sakes, Captain Petrov, that you're prepared to prove every word you've said. Commander, Atlas interrupted, long-range sensors are detecting increased quantum disruption. The Devourer scouts have accelerated. New arrival estimate, 25 days. Nikolai met the eyes of his crew, seeing his own determination reflected back. They had started this journey as simple miners seeking their fortune in the outer reaches of the solar system. Now they stood at the crossroads of humanity's past and future, carrying a truth that would change everything. Admiral, he said, we'll be ready. The question is, will humanity be ready to face its own history and fight for its future? The answer to that question would determine not just Earth's fate, but the fate of every species yet to encounter the crystalline horror approaching from the depths of space. The race against time had begun. 20 days until the Devourer scouts arrived, and Earth had transformed. The 7 Sentinels hung in orbit like ancient guardians awakened from slumber, their crystalline hulls forming a defensive network that wrapped around the planet like a protective web. In the command center of the 7th Sentinel, Nikolai watched humanity's preparations unfold. Below, cities were being retrofitted with shield generators reverse-engineered from the Sentinel's technology. Military vessels were being upgraded with quantum weapons that could actually harm the crystalline invaders. Status report, he called out to his expanded crew, now including Earth's top scientists and military strategists. Dr. Marcus looked up from his station, where he worked alongside a team of quantum physicists. The integration of Sentinel technology with Earth's defense grid is at 60%. We've successfully replicated the quantum disruption fields that can destabilize devourer matter. But will it be enough? Elena asked, her cybernetic eye scanning multiple tactical displays simultaneously. She now coordinated with military forces worldwide, teaching them to operate weapons that seemed more like magic than technology. Atlas materialized in the center of the command deck, its holographic form now linked to a global network of AI systems. All 7 Sentinels report ready status. Each commander has fully integrated with their vessel systems. The other 6 commanders appeared on the main screen, a diverse group of individuals chosen by genetics and destiny to help lead humanity's defense. Admiral Hammond had turned out to be one of them, her genetic profile matching the second Sentinel's requirements. The discovery had helped bridge the gap between the military and the ancient vessels. The lunar defense base is operational, Hammond reported. We've installed quantum sensors that can track the Devourer's approach across half the galaxy. They've consumed 3 more star systems since our last update. Dr. Patel, now commander of the 4th Sentinel, spoke next. The genetic archives are secure. If we fail, humanity's legacy will survive, hidden in bunkers throughout the solar system. We won't lose our history again. Nikolai felt the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. Through his neural link, he could sense the fear and determination of billions below. The truth about humanity's past had shaken every belief system, every assumption about their place in the universe. Yet instead of falling into chaos, people had united with a sense of purpose not seen in recorded history. Commander, Atlas interrupted, detecting a quantum surge at the edge of the solar system. The scout ships have accelerated again. New arrival estimate, 15 days. They know we've discovered the Sentinels, Dr. Marcus said, his dark eyes intense. They're coming to finish what they started 50,000 years ago. No, Nikolai replied, standing from his command chair. They're coming because they fear what we might become. Our ancestors chose to hide rather than be destroyed, preserving their knowledge for a future generation. That generation is us. He activated the global communication network, his voice reaching every corner of Earth and its colonies. This is Commander Petrov. As you know, the enemy has accelerated their approach. But they're not finding the primitive civilization they expected. They're not finding a species that will hide. Through the neural link, he shared images of humanity's preparations, orbital defense platforms equipped with quantum weapons, cities protected by energy shields, fleets of ships upgraded with Sentinel technology. For 50,000 years, we've carried the legacy of our ancestors in our very DNA, waiting for this moment. The Devourers thought they had ended humanity's first great civilization. Instead, they forced us to become something stronger. The other commanders joined their consciousness with his through the Sentinel network, their combined knowledge and power creating a tactical overview unprecedented in human history. They could see the Devourer scout ships approaching, their crystalline forms distorting space itself. Behind them, the main fleet moved like a tide of living crystal, consuming everything in its path. Final preparations are commencing, Nikolai announced. All non-essential personnel, evacuate to the designated shelters. All military forces, move to your assigned positions. The Sentinels will coordinate our defense, but this fight belongs to all of humanity. Elena's voice cut through the command center. Sir, detecting quantum fluctuations. They don't match the Devourer signatures. Before anyone could react, space itself seemed to tear open at 7 points around Earth's orbit. Through these rifts emerged vessels that dwarfed even the Sentinels, ships of crystalline matter, but not the consuming horror of the Devourers. These crystals shimmered with inner light, their patterns familiar yet alien. Impossible, Atlas stated, its holographic form flickering with what could only be described as shock. These signatures match us. They are sentinels, but from other worlds, other civilizations that survived the Devourers. The largest of the new vessels transmitted a message in multiple languages simultaneously. Children of Earth, you are not alone. When your ancestors chose to hide their legacy, they also sent out a call across the galaxy. For 50,000 years, we have prepared, gathering survivors, building strength. Now, as the Devourers return to your world, so do we. Dr. Marcus's instruments were going wild. The technology, it's like ours, but evolved over millennia. They've taken what our ancestors knew and advanced it beyond imagination. We offer our aid, the transmission continued, not to fight your battle for you, but to stand beside the children of those who first warned us of the Devourer threat. Together, we will end their consumption of all living things. Nikolai felt a surge of emotion through his neural link, hope, determination, and something else. Pride. Pride in the knowledge that humanity's choice to hide had not been an act of cowardice, but one of profound sacrifice and foresight. They had preserved not only their own future but had given other civilizations the warning and the time they needed to survive. Accept, he commanded, and the 7 sentinels broadcast their response in unison. The crystalline fleet moved into formation around Earth, their presence turning the tide before the battle had even begun. The Devourers would arrive expecting to find a primitive world ripe for consumption. Instead, they would find the combined might of every civilization they had failed to destroy, led by the very species that had first defied them. Nikolai returned to his command chair, feeling the power of the Sentinel humming through his consciousness. Humanity had awakened not just to its past, but to its place in a larger community of survivors and warriors. The real legacy of their ancestors had not been the technology they preserved, but the hope they had spread across the galaxy. All forces, prepare for combat, he ordered, his voice carrying the weight of 50,000 years of preparation. The Devourers thought they could consume our future. Instead, they're about to discover that humanity's greatest strength isn't in our weapons or our technology. It's in our ability to unite, to inspire, and to fight not just for ourselves, but for all life everywhere. The final battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity would face it not alone, but as part of something greater, a coalition of survivors and warriors, brought together by the sacrifice and foresight of their ancestors. The time for hiding was over. The time for standing together had come.